evening, everyone. I'm Mr. Panda.
And I'm Rockstar.
And this is the Manly Battleships YouTube channel where we're hosting Last Week in Geek, the video podcast where we go over everything important that happened last week in Geek. We also now have these super awesome non-denominational beverages because we're not being paid. So, if you would like your special beverage to be featured on Last Week in Geek, you know who to call.
Happiness.
Quick reminder that our next live appearances at conventions will include ZenkaiCon in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and JCon in Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania at the end of March. But right now we're going to hop into new media. If you're a longtime fan of Five Nights at Freddy's, you might be excited to hear about this new movie starring Nicolas Cage called Wally's Wonderland. It is not called Five Nights at Freddy's. It has no direct connection to Five Nights at Freddy's that we know of, but it has a very similar plot. Nicolas Cage will be playing a janitor trying to fight for his life in this resort-type environment. I don't know the details. There's basically just a picture. We don't even have a trailer yet. It's like that situation we had with that Harry Potter, Daniel Radcliffe, that's his name, that Daniel Radcliffe movie where he's just in the stockings with the guns. He's just like, ah!
Oh, Guns Akimbo.
Guns Akimbo. It took months before we knew what that was all about. No, it's just Harry Potter, 20 years after crack. Fuck!
As we talked about before, The Walking Dead World Beyond is a limited series from The Walking Dead. Go figure. It's going to be, 2 seasons? We've got a new trailer for it. And it looks like
Kids do stuff in the apocalypse. 20 years of kids doing stuff in the apocalypse.
It's the same old story. If you're excited for it, we've got the link for the trailer down below. The new thing will be millennials trying to get away from watching movies about kids doing stuff in the apocalypse.
Book nerds rejoice. If you are a fan of Star Wars, you're about to get a whole new arc called Star Wars: The High Republic, set about 400 years before the Skywalker saga, and might include cameos from our favorite friend Yoda, among other people. Baby Yoda's all over the place.
Now, there is a bit of a controversy going around when it's regarding video games, because as of right now, there are no plans for a video game or for any kind of shows, series, movies, anything like that.
Because EA is terrible.
Yeah, guys, remember EA still holds kind of the exclusive rights over all Star Wars game. We've got 2 shitty ones, and every other project canceled. Now, there is very vague rumors going around that maybe it seems like Lucasfilms wants to give over some rights to the High Republic and the Old Republic to a production company called Asper. They've been responsible for porting over the Old Republic and several other Star Wars games to the Mac, and yet more other games to the Switch. So, hopefully they will get it, because it would be really nice to see new games in the Star Wars franchise just in general.
Incidentally, despite only being confined to books and comics at the moment, it will be canon. Everything you see in there will be part of the official Disney Star Wars canon.
Disney is trying again on an old trick that they pulled out of their hat last time. It's putting a short that's not a Pixar short in front of a Pixar movie. This time it's going to be a Simpsons short called Playdates with Destiny, and it seems to star Maggie. It's really unclear what the short's going to be about, but it's supposed to be playing in front of Onward.
I'll bet it's going to be like Baby's Day Out, where she just wrecks the whole city by herself.
Well, there's a picture of Maggie sitting there with another boy. So, I have no idea.
The boy is named Destiny. Ha ha, how clever, Disney.
Will it work? Or will it bomb, like that Frozen short that shall not be named that was in front of Coco?
I don't even remember that very well. What happened in that?
Frozen Olive's Adventure, the one that was not really a short, but a half-hour freaking episode and sing-along.
Oh, I remember that. That was so long and so weird.
I think they've said that the Simpsons short is supposed to be much shorter, but I have no idea, because they really didn't give us much details on it.
If you have been enjoying Netflix's foray into the realm of interactive movie experiences, there's a new one coming out based off of the Carmen Sandiego revival series, which I thought was not very good, but that's neither here nor there. It's going to be about Carmen Sandiego stealing shit and saving her friends. Boom. Because Carmen Sandiego isn't allowed to be a villain anymore. Whatever. Can't market that to kids.
Are you stupid?
It seems like your choices will regard whether or not You go about things doing stealthily, or you go in guns a-blazing. So it's coming out soon, too, March 6th.
The Metal Gear method or the Call of Duty method?
Fathom Events has announced that they're doing a Steven Universe the Movie sing-along.
In case you got tired about people just singing along to musical movies when you're at the theater, now you can pay for the privilege.
However, that's not all they're including in this event. You will also be able to watch a Steven Universe Future episode that's being broadcast straight to the theater.
They sweetened the deal a little bit, so, maybe I'll go. We'll see what happens.
If you do want to go, tickets can be purchased for March 26th at select theaters.
Anime streaming site Crunchyroll is rolling out 8 new series as part of its original animation lineup in connection with both itself, Crunchyroll Studios, and their subsidiary or some other kind of random connection nonsense with Elation Studios out of Tokyo. Some sources are characterizing this as the first anime streaming site to roll out original animation, and nomenclature being put aside for a moment, I don't know if I really agree with that. I mean, say what you will about the nature of Netflix or whatnot, but Netflix has plenty of animation and anime and does Netflix originals all the time. Alright, congratulations to Crunchyroll for catching up. And before you say anything, Crunchyroll has live content too, so don't start with me. Crunchyroll is always playing catch up and acting like they totally did everything first. You know what Crunchyroll did do first was build their entire industry off of the backs of fan subbers and other bootleg content. But we won't talk about that. We won't talk about $5 million in venture capital that they got for stealing fan subs.
Oh God, kill me now.
But no, they're a paramount of the anime industry, and you should support them because it's legitimate content. It's also a little unclear as to whether or not these new series will be anime, at least the way that we define it in our work, as opposed to just animation. Might be time to revive the Japanimation label just to make things a little more clear. But there's also that ongoing Twitter feud too as to whether or not anime is a real genre at this point, or whether now it's just a marketing term for cartoons that we can't sell to children. Man, remember in the 90s when all anime was porn?
Maybe you should shut up.
That's why they called it Samurai X. It probably didn't help that frequently the racy animation hentai with the star nipples and everything was at the front of the video store for some reason.
Way to advertise the good side of anime, why don't ya? We have a new trailer for the new Streets of Rage 4. It seems like what they're particularly highlighting in this trailer are their new multiplayer options, including the local 4-player co-op option. So it seems like they actually said this is the first time they've ever done it, which seems really weird. Why would you have never had a local 4-player multiplayer? I don't understand.
People don't want to play co-op games, don't you know, Rockstar?
But I like playing with people while they're over at
People only want to play online. They don't want co-op. They don't want single-player campaigns. It's only online, where we can keep charging people, both for the subscription and for the server maintenance and for microtransactions.
That's all the information we have besides what console release it's going to be on, because we don't have a release date yet. Yay!
The Shovel Knight franchise is also getting a new game. It's called a Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon. I believe it's for mobile platforms, is it not?
We actually have no idea what platform it's going to be for and or what release date we have. We only have a short trailer, and it looks like a Puyo Puyo or
Wario
Woods kind of game. I mean, I'm interested. I like puzzles like that, but
Let's just play every derivative of Tetris. You know what I miss? 3D Tetris. Weltris.
With this next game, you can jump right into the world of Samurai Jack and fight your foes with honor. Samurai Jack, Battle Through Time, sees you as Samurai Jack going through all the time periods trying to fight your way to a coup. It actually looks really cool. It's really stylistic. Again, just like all the other ones, we have no idea when it's coming out. With the ending of 50 Shades of Grey, we all hoped that E.L. James would just retire into quiet and lucrative solitude, where we wouldn't have to listen to any more of her dribble. And yet, here we are after a bidding war, and Universal has won the rights to her most recent novel, The Mister. In a reskin of a reskin, E.O. James proves to us, the audience, that she does in fact have a type. The rich white man rescuing a poor young woman.
But why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
We're going to have to go through it again.
This time, it's an Albanian housekeeper who is trying to avoid human traffickers. So topical.
Her last heroine didn't even have a laptop. She was a college student in modern times.
Listen here. At least she's not writing the third book of the Christian Grey perspective of her series, featuring all the finest elements of salacious sexual content.
Meme of the week, meme of the week. Here is where we go to the meme of the week.
The meme of the week for Last Week in Geek this time around is the CDC warns us not to touch our face, and the internet realizes how difficult that really is.
It really is. Like, I think it's on average you touch your face 12 times a day. So...
There's like a whole meme dedicated to that, touching your face.
And yet here we are. CDC is like, yeah, let's not spread coronavirus. Wash your hands and don't touch your face. And yet...
I might have to abandon this altogether. Apparently beards are the way to
like, that's
guarantee
the other thing.
getting coronavirus.
They're like, will a beard prevent you from wearing a mask?
Yes. The answer might surprise you.
There's a whole infographic of it.
We did all the fun stuff, so now to hop into the real news. Bob Iger, the man who oversaw explosive growth at Disney, is stepping down as CEO. Now, he is contracted to stick around until 2021, so he has to be there and sit in the chair. But it sounds like day-to-day operations are being transferred over to Bob Chapek, who will be taking over as CEO once the contract expires. You might know him as the guy who heads up like the parks and amusements division, and is also the guy who kind of came up with the idea of the Disney Vault, if you know what I mean, which is getting some people a little bit concerned about the direction of the company once he takes over for reals.
One of the main problems is Disney has become a Thanos company, so honestly, I think the future is still a little bit unclear of whether this is a good change or a bad change.
Oh, what's that? You wanted all that content on Disney Plus? Back in the vault, you now only have Home Alone and Home Alone 2. Oh, wait, my bad. You only have Home Alone 2 now.
My Hero Academia Heroes Rising has received enormous support from U.S. moviegoers as it reached third in the U.S. box office this past weekend, I think it was. So, it earned, get this, in 2 days it earned $3.3 million just here in the U.S. alone.
That's pretty good for an anime movie.
Way to go, weebs! You did it.
Piracy. It has caught the ire of one independent developer on Steam. The Brotherhood's most recent game, called Beautiful Desolation, has allegedly been pirated at least 5,000 times. And they know about it. Somehow. The developers are not happy about this, because as independent developers, a huge amount of money that would have gone to them had the copies been legitimately purchased just didn't materialize. They took their complaint to Twitter and talked about how, listen, we're not like EA. The majority of money that you put towards the purchase price comes to us, and now we don't have that money. They even put up a PayPal link where you could just send them a couple bucks to try to compensate them for the time they put into making this game for people.
They also asked if you could just buy the soundtrack, as the soundtrack is easily available through Steam. And they also mentioned it's not just about the money. It's also about the fact that 5,000 copies being bought would have pushed them through the Steam's trending page, therefore pushing them in front of possibly new potential customers, which would have led to more growth for them. This isn't their only game. They have a bunch of other games. Beautiful Desolation is also one out of a series. It might have allowed new customers to go back through that series, grab a bundle, or something along those lines of getting their names out there, since it is just two guys dedicating themselves to creating games.
Now, if you've been with us for a long time, you know that we have mixed opinions about a lot of aspects of piracy, but one thing that we've always advocated for from the ethical piracy perspective is, if you are enjoying this game, it's time to toss a coin to your indie developer guys. Chris Bischoff, the one who originally made the tweet, has subsequently deleted it and has put up a new message thanking everyone for their support, because in response to his complaint, apparently the support that he received was overwhelming.
Meanwhile, in the land down under, we're seeing the same old tired fear-mongering from Senator Sterling Graff, who wants to ban all anime and all manga from entering their country due to child exploitation issues.
And here we thought we only had to deal with that by Trump executive order.
That's it.
Thank you, Press.
Thank you.
While this might bring some images to our mind, such as Lolicon, Senator Griff wants to make sure that no. You see, child exploitation is rampant among all manga and all anime, and therefore it should all be banned.
All anime is porn.
Now, the support for this has been kind of like moderately supportive of it, while some people are just outright ridiculing him. Where this goes, we have no idea. We'll keep following the story. Hopefully Australia realizes they have bigger issues to deal with right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, the country's on fire. Byte, the official successor to Vine, is rolling out a new creator program. To join, you must apply, and you have to create full-screen, portrait-style content every day.
Well, regularly.
That's what regularly means. It's probably going to be 3 or 4 times a day to count.
I guess you could assume that means every day. But the other thing that you need to qualify is to be a good, force in the community. So positivity for the win. And are positive members of the community.
So we won't qualify, because all millennials want to die.
Eventually, what this creators program will lead to is creators being placed in viewership brackets, which they didn't quantify what a viewership bracket is.
Do we have to fight to the death?
We're gonna have tryouts.
They didn't say how many brackets there would be. The only thing they've said about these brackets is if 2 creators are in the same bracket, they can expect the same amount of payment. Lastly, the first 100 creators to be accepted into the program will receive $250,000, which will be separated out into 4 payments.
Damn, son, shutting me up.
Right now, Byte is looking into making sure that 100% of their ad revenue is going directly to their creators. How long this will last, we have no idea.
Especially because what else do they make money on?
I have no idea. I don't feel like that's sustainable,
Yeah,
but that's what Byte wants to do, dude. So
How else do you make money? And the final part of the show is going to be talking a lot about COVID-19, the coronavirus, and its effect on our fandom this past week.
we want to put a disclaimer here and say we're not trying to fearmonger. By all means, right now, there is no reason to panic. We just... There's no reason to panic. In fact, the CDC basically says the best way to prevent it is to just wash your hands, and if you are sick, to put on a mask. Cover your cough politely. There's no reason to go, as some people have been doing, mass buying masks, or even some of the form-fitting masks, which, by the way, you're probably not going to get the form-fitting tightness that you need. There's no reason to panic right now. Just keep up. If you really want more news about COVID and how it's going to actually affect you guys, keep an eye out for the CDC. Keep an eye out for the World Health Organization. They'll be the ones giving you the best information. By all means, do not get your information from the TikTok conspiracy theorists. If you're going to get your information from TikTok, go to the World Health Organization's account on TikTok, because they do have an account on TikTok because of how rampant these theories are.
Last episode we reported on Sony pulling out, but this past week the number of pullouts from GDC has increased exponentially. The list includes Blizzard, EA, Epic, and Unity, among many others. And ultimately, GDC was like, okay, this isn't going to work out, so they're going to actually postpone GDC all the way into summer, when they're a little more confident about having security measures in place and being able to handle any potential further developments with the COVID virus. GDC isn't the only one feeling pressure from the coronavirus issue. The EVE Online FanFest held in Reykjavik, Iceland, which was going to be held from April 2nd to April 4th, has been canceled altogether, presumably in connection with the first reported case actually happening in Iceland now.
Intel Extreme Masters Katowice that's being held in Poland had its license revoked for being able to have a public audience at its tournament. They are known for CSGO and StarCraft 2 tournaments. And they basically just had to put out a public statement and say, hey guys, we know you bought tickets, but you're banned from the location. Sorry, go watch it on the stream like everybody else. Additionally, League of Legends Pro League is being reinstated after a hiatus that they had to take just to figure out how they were going to do security health measures. Here's how it's going to work. Contestants are going to have to undergo a 14-day quarantine period in which they're being held in isolation, and then, after that isolation, they're going to have to undergo a health evaluation just to make sure you're still not sick. And then, all of the competition is going to be held online. Players will be able to go to the headquarters of the organization that they're in, and if you can't, because you're in a quarantine location already, like some places in mainland China, you will just basically have to play from home.
Hope your internet connection's good.
That starts back up again on March 9th, with English translation streams starting up again on March 15th.
Grinding Gear Games has also announced a delay to Path of Exile 2's beta release. This is at least partly due to working on the DLC for Path of Exile that was already released, Delirium, and trying to complete that, but the COVID-19 issue is not helping and appears to be compounding the delay further. Lastly, the government of China, in its infinite wisdom and graceful ancient bullshit. Lastly, the government of China... Plague Incorporated is too hot to handle and has been pulled from all Chinese-based app stores. Endemic Creations has stated that they're pretty sure it's in connection to new features added to the game, including misinformation, fake news, if you will, which probably ticked off China, let's just be honest. In a country that's built on information control, they're probably going to get a little antsy if a Plague game includes fake news. It probably also didn't help that a bunch of game streamers have recently been trying to recreate the COVID-19 outbreak in China.
I mean, and when we say a bunch, I mean there's literally, you could just go Coronavirus, Plague Inc., and it's just droves of people are doing the same simulation. I guess eventually we might figure out if we end the world with the coronavirus due to this.
I think they're still just bitter over the fact that they put it on sale right as that became public. That's all we got for this episode, ladies and gentlemen. So, if you're new to the channel, there's the subscribe button. There's the bell that you can ring so that you get informed when we put out a new video of any kind. There's a nice back catalog of sketch stuff that you should be watching to help support our channel here at Manly Battleships, because it's awesome, just like you are awesome. Leave a comment below with any of the thoughts that you might have had on the stories we covered. And, as always, I'm Mr. Panda.
And I'm Rockstar, and we'll see you next week.